Sweeney grew up in the Liberties in Dublin in the 1950s.
My mother was a great grafter, you know, in the rag trade. She was fantastic. She was very gentle and a hard-working woman. If she'd been able to drive a car, she would have been a multi-millionaire. She used to depend on people to drive for her. School, I wasn't into school. I'd go in one door and I'd be out the other door. And next time I'd be on the mitch. So finally I had summonses coming in the door to say I was missing from school. You knew you were going to court. And then the judge said, I'll put you into RTE until you're 16. I would have been going on 12. Nobody smiled in RTE. It wasn't a happy school. I got no education, only discipline. I remember one day I ran away and I'm looking back and I'm running across the football field and everybody in the school, they were all running away. And I was saying, come on, let's go. But they were running to get me back.
Tom ran away from RTE 9 times, but was always caught.
Yeah, when you were brought back up to the yard, the brother used to send you up to shave your hair off. I remember a brother, he called me and said, I heard you're trying to run away. Well, he gave me a bad hiding now. He went bananas, like, you know. He left me pretty bad, you know. I never forget it.
At the age of 14, despite his mother's letters to the minister pleading to let him come home, the Department of Education sent him further away to St. Joseph's Industrial School in Salt Hill in Galway, also run by the Christian Brothers. While there, Tom was repeatedly sexually abused. After the shock resignation of Judge Mary Leffoy from the Commission to Inquire into Child Abuse, the government appointed Judge Sean Ryan to the role.
Mr. Justice Ryan adjourned this afternoon's sitting.
The biggest problem he faced was a court challenge by the Christian Brothers, objecting to the Commission's intention to name abusers.
And I looked at this and thought, well, this is urgent. Survivors are not getting any younger. And people deserved to have a result from the Commission. The only practical way out of this is to abandon the idea of naming abusers.
While this change by Judge Ryan may have made the Commission's work more efficient, its implications for survivors would be profound. Nobody was going to be held to account for abusing them as children. Soon after, the Christian Brothers dropped their case and released files to the Commission from their headquarters in Rome. These files showed that the Christian Brothers had documented more than 40 cases of improper conduct between brothers and boys in Irish residential institutions.
The information given by the Christian Brothers to the Child Abuse Commission today has taken many by surprise.
The Christian Brothers files were moved from Ireland to Rome in the late 1960s, and it was believed that they contained extensive details of numerous abuses by numerous abusers. And when they came before the Commission, that's exactly what transpired. It implied that they knew what was there, but didn't want to establish it until they had to.
The Rome files were a source of solid, serious material that confirmed what many of the survivors had been saying.
After months of delay, hearings at what became known as the Ryan Commission resumed in June 2004.
The idea was to make people as comfortable as possible, because this was formal, there's a judge presiding. We tried to say this is an inquiry, not a confrontation.
When I went into the Commission, I thought this is an opportunity to have my story heard. And it was also an opportunity to bring in the people who abused me. And they all had their solicitors and their barristers. So when you walked in, you were kind of faced with at least 8 people looking at you. And I remember making a decision before I went in that I was going to look at them, because otherwise I would allow them to intimidate me. And I thought, no, this is my time. I'm going to take that space like I've never taken it before. And I just looked at each one of them until each one of them turned away. And from then on, they never looked at me. And that was fine by me, you know.
Sharon Murphy spent 15 years in St. Joseph's Industrial School in Clifton, which was run by the Sisters of Mercy.
When the nuns had visitors like the bishop, you had the best of everything. And you knew, your gut was saying, I hope they never leave. Because as soon as they left, just the pus came on, you know, the body language used to change. And you knew it was back to the way it was again, you know. There was one particular nun, she was extraordinarily cruel. So I made a complaint against her. And when she was asked to defend herself, she said, you know, when I got the letter that I was being accused of this abuse, she said, I was so shocked for over a week I couldn't work. And when she said that, I thought to myself, that's justice for me, because whenever we talked or whenever we did just ordinary stuff and she happened to be around, it was so shocking, her reaction, that I realised that she actually experienced what she had given to us. And I thought, that's exactly what it was like living with you, you know.
Oh, look. Yeah.
Survivor Tom Sweeney spent 4 years in industrial schools. He also attended the commission to tell his story.
Up to Granda, come on up to Granda. When I went to the commission, they gave me €25 for me taxi and me lunch. There was a big crowd from the Department of Education sitting up like the courts, like up on a big table, and you were in the middle looking up at them all like that. And the chairman was there, and there was 2 people beside him. There was loads of people there. Like the only people I was interested was the people I accused, and I found that at least they were there looking at me, and I was able to say, looking at them, say, I'm talking about you.
At the commission, the Christian Brothers totally rejected Tom's accounts of physical and sexual abuse. They said Mr. Sweeney's allegations are the result of recovered memory, and that his recollections are not reliable.
Most of the congregations resisted the idea that they had been responsible for abuse. Yes, they did. Sometimes even in the face of admissions in their own records. Their attitude was somewhat legalistic, yes it was. It was rather like a person who says, well, prove it. I'm not admitting it, you prove it.
The leader with the Christian Brothers represented the order as the commission to inquire into child abuse sat in public session.
The position taken by some of the congregations led to a level of questioning that undermined and distressed many survivors.
And 6 cases of sexual abuse.
There was a legalistic framework used, and that's the wrong approach to take for someone who's been traumatised and told as a child, we don't believe you. What you say is a lie. You can't tell anyone about your abuse. No one will believe you.
When I was walking out to the Ryan Commission, I felt they didn't believe a word I bloody well said in there. I think it was very adversarial, you know, and I went through some very bad weeks after it. All it did was added 2 or 3 years of misery to my life. And that's all it did. It gave me no satisfaction.
John Pryor was one of the first people to speak out about abuse in residential institutions. He told his story in states of fear.
From when I was going on to 5 or 6 years of age, I cannot remember many days that I didn't get a hammering. And the one good thing about Christmas Day is there was no sexual abuse on Christmas Day. I felt I was to blame. What had one Christian brother said to me? Well, you didn't say no. You couldn't say no. I mean, when I left the school, the last words from the superior of the school, if you know what's good for you, you keep your mouth shut.
London's weather now. Here's Jill Brown. Hello there. Well, across the capital today, plenty of sunshine and showers. And we're going to see some more of those showers coming through.
I told my story for the first time to his counsellor in England. And he said to me, you need to go and do something with this. You can't let it continue. And I forgot that for several years. I forgot it so much that I went downhill in England and I walked the streets and I lost my home in England because I wasn't able to face up to anything. And when I came back to Ireland, it was always haunting me, you know.
Very slowly, everyone heading from junction 5 up to junction 8.
Giving evidence at the commission meant survivors had to tell their stories and often relive the abuse they experienced as children. For many, it was the first time they spoke openly and in detail to anyone about what had happened to them.
It appeared in the paper that I had been sexually abused because I was at the commission. And I came back and I called the family together, brought them into the room, and I told them. Mary just sung them and sung them for quite a while. For days. I felt it was so hard to tell her because I was afraid she might leave me. And eventually I sat down and I started talking to her and I said, look, it's done, it's over with. I said, I'll suffer it. I said, not you. And that way she rode in behind me, went to the Ryan Commission with me. She was by my side from the word go. I went there thinking that would take a load off my mind or help me along. No, it didn't. I thought I was in the Supreme Court in Dublin. There were so many barristers and solicitors there questioning me. What were they there for? I was there to tell my story. I don't believe you, Mr. O'Brien. You didn't do. I don't believe that you were sexually abused. And I felt that I was the perpetrator of the abuse. That's the way I felt. I cried like the rain coming home. I would have went in under the biggest truck that was passing had Mary not been in the car. I was that bad.